So what do you do when no one's listening? That's a bit of a complicated question. There's a couple things that go along those lines, but this is a just a general sort of talking point question that goes along with the lines of what the Conversation Project has been doing, what it may be doing in the future. The spoiler alert, too long didn't listen, is the fact that we're going to be intermittent for a little bit. But what do you do when you don't think anyone's listening, or when you're pretty sure no one's listening and you're not responding? As far as the short version of the Conversation Project right now, we're going to take not a hiatus, but just sort of some intermittent things to try some things, test some things, work some things out, because there's some issues in the work and issues underlining in the background that need some attention. You've heard me talk before about, the whole, we took off a month because I had no house because of a tornado. You heard me talk about the time I stopped this one many times ago when the iteration was going, decided, you know what, when I got dropped out of radio, I don't have to do this broadcasting stuff, to realize that I missed it and went back to a bit harder. You've seen bits and pieces where essentially little health scares here or there drop things off. It's not a health scare particularly, but there are some things that are going on that we're going to play around some things, test some things out, do some things, and we're not going to stick to a actual schedule. But two actual things were the main catalyst. There's a lot of things that have been mixed around in my head, including things not quite hitting it as hard as they should if you're the numbers wise for the conversation. But two things that really sort of hit here was, number one, a video that I saw this morning. I'm recording this on Saturday, the 21st of June. A video I saw this morning that went back to sort of the times we live in, a commentary on black people, because it's black people, and how black people who are living in the existential consequences timeline of Donald Trump's second term, who are sort of like, why are we even in the fight for other people who are having these issues, because this is not our fight. And the thought process that what really spoiled us as black people is Obama becoming president and everything becoming, good and whole and being, post-racial, and just sort of the bit of prosperity that existed in a time where a black person was in charge of things, when in actuality, Donald Trump is actually deporting less people than Barack Obama is, but by his numbers so far. And he also was doing just as much damage, or gave just as much sort of kind of give a dams and some things as Donald Trump did Barack Obama. Barack Obama maybe more. He did try to pass Obamacare. He did do a couple things that were promised. He did have a profile that had more minorities seemingly in charge. But in the meantime, in the background, the government sort of did what it did, just not towards the extreme levels we're seeing that Donald Trump's doing to rewrite everything Obama did and just go back to a level of 50s life where it wasn't so much making America greater again, but making the sort of the gatekeepers and things that kept people out in place again. Mixed in that was a book that I read, a series of books, a couple of books about cleaning up. One of the books essentially focuses on basically just cleaning out your stuff, just getting rid of stuff that's excess. Number one, because of everything you've seen before, the Marie Kondo stuff that doesn't bring you joy, it brings you down. It isn't useful. It's in the way. Someone else could use it. But the biggest kicker with that was being a pack rat, being some sort of hoarder, makes you a menace to the people you will leave behind eventually. Because having that large stack of newspapers from back in the day, that because people saved them back in the day, or having all these old clothes that you stopped wearing in your 20s as you're in your 50s and 60s, doesn't make any sense. Keeping all the t-shirts from all the concerts that you've gone through in your full life, while they may mean something, is much better used by sending them to those box services and making a quilt out of them. And using a quilt, which is useful, instead of all the t-shirts that you don't wear, can't fit, and are probably really worthy of just being rags at this point in time or being tossed. Those two things combined go to a long-standing sort of thing I've been working my head. The reasons why I've written in, my books and stuff like that about immortality, essentially having something left behind so that you can't be denied your existence. Conversation Project was is part of that. Not quite a was yet, but is part of that. This was something that was supposed to help me grow and get back to a place where I thought I was going before I hit that roadblock that was being dismissed from broadcasting. And this was supposed to be a lasting something to be out there. Yeah, even though, there's plenty of people out there doing commentary, even that guy that did commentary today about Obama. But this was about a legacy thing. This is about building onto something that was supposed to mean something sometime later. Now, in this day and age, this very time right now, the news cycle is Barack Obama, who's speaking out to a point, but not exactly to the level that many people would like him to, because he's not, Michelle Obama she's throwing fire at this point. Barack Obama is still trying to not talk about the current presidents, because he's still a recent president. So there's stuff on that end, though he's speaking about much more fiery now about what to do going forward. In the book about cleaning up, it's a book less about legacy, where Obama, for example, has a legacy, had a time, and have something we're looking back towards, whether good or for ill. It's less about leaving a great legacy and seeing what was there. It's more about what's really left behind and what you really have to dig through and what's really worthy of keeping. In most cases, what you have to dispose of in some fashion or form, whether it's old antique dishes that were really worth something. I have my grandmother's dishes that she had back in her house back when I was, when I was 5 years old. The old lead style glasses that they had in the Curos. I have that here. She gave that as a gift a few years back, and we thought we lost them in a tornado. When we found them just in a box in the back of stuff, cleaning stuff out, it was like a blessing. It was like a miracle came about, and we found a place for them to be prominently stored in the house. Or if it's stacks of old Sports Illustrateds that just got moved around over and over again, because that's what you did back in the day. You put your magazines in the back of the garage and it got moved around back and forth. Or as I'm going through, lots of suits. I have a lot more suits and suit jackets than I even can imagine, between essentially 2 closets full of clothing that have gone back and forth in my lifetime since moving out of the house when I was 23 or so as a Air Force lieutenant, and just bouncing around a couple places, being here in Arkansas, going from apartment to house to house. Things that have accumulated, for some reason we've kept them in the back someplace, and bam, I've got on my bed, I've got maybe 14 jackets and suits laying on my bed right now that are going to be disposed of. I also have about 4 of them left in my closet that I have to make sure they're ones that actually fit because of the weight I lost, make sure they go from there. If something were to happen to me tomorrow, who's going to want to care about all those suits? No one. So I'm literally going through the closets, cleaning out stuff that should have been cleaned a long time ago, and I'm going to take those 14 suits plus at least 3 bags of clothing to Goodwill today to hopefully get something out of them. They're fairly good, but because I lost a bunch of weight, because they're a bit out of fashion maybe, because I haven't worn them, they've been in the back of my closet for a year and a half, or in a box someplace for more than that because of displacement, there's no reason to have them. I've bought more stuff. I can buy more stuff. I can use what I need to. So why did I waste all that time talking about my back of my closet and a Barack Obama? And for people who aren't going to listen to this thing right here. I'm not sure I'm making the points that I want to make with the Conversation Project. I'm not sure I'm hitting the marks I want to make with the Conversation Project. It's not hitting the milestones, not hitting the highlights it should be hitting. I'm not getting a chance to interview more people for the podcast, do more things that are an interactive thing with people in general. I'm not getting a chance to have a real way to do connectivity. I usually do these things in a live form and just see what happens. I'm not even attempting that right now. I'm not doing that in a real fashion on those levels. That's not working very well. And I'm not sure whether it's the talent, because I think the talent's there. Not sure where this content, because I know I'm talking about stories that are relevant and contextual, and other people do them and they get responses. I'm not sure what exactly it is. I'm not sure it is because, I don't like to get a haircut and I'm not wearing a suit and tie. the plan was starting Monday to start wearing more shirts and ties to go along with some things to up it up. As we do a couple things, we'll see what happens. But I'm not sure what to do with this going forward. The channel on YouTube is monetized, so it gets some pennies here and there. But out the gate, once we got the full monetization, a chance to earn off AdSense, it was able to actually make money, write me a small check every month, and that has not happened. And I'm not sure if it's because there are less trolls out there. More trolls are popping in now, so I'm getting a few more views, or whether I'm just one of the many folks in the crowd, which even that's true. There are many folks in the crowd with the numbers I have that sure doing much better than I am and being something sustainable and getting the responses, things going forward. I'm not getting the love, for lack of a better term, for the folks I'm expecting to get it from. I'm not getting the love from people who I'm trying to, sonically impress to see what's happening going forward. I'm not getting the responses that are continual conversations from the general public. I'm not doing well with the conversation project. So in most cases, people put up I'm done, I'm quitting, I'm out of here. And those become sort of the standard, sort of the posh thing to do, things that people do in certain points. Or like, I'm quitting YouTube, and they only come back like a month later with long reasons why. Because if you're quitting, why explain it? So not quitting the channel yet. We're doing less with it. We're doing some things with it. There are other things that need to be attended to that are going to take up some time. Ironically, the main reason why I do the work in the channel is because I just have a habit from in broadcasting, waking up and being wide awake at 3 in the morning. So if I'm going to be awake from 3 to 7 before I have to go to work, I might as well do something productive. I like the news stuff. I like going through the works to get a better news experience. So I want to share it with you folks out there. I attempted to share it with you folks out there, and some of you respond to it, some of you don't. That may be a talent thing. That may be a saturation thing. Maybe a lot of things. But what about not being heard is the issue. For the people who make it past 12 minutes, and we can get to the stuff, what exactly that you actually are hearing? What exactly that you're actually getting from this? What exactly is the juice on this thing? Where am I going right for you? And where am I to be going wrong for other people? It's a serious question. It's a very serious question. So serious, I asked it to ChatGPT, and it gave me some very good feedback on things to do to work on what we're producing. The problem was, it also took the comparisons to what was going on and just flat out said things. You produce, 4 or 5 times a week. I produce content like live content 5 times a week, sometimes 6. I produce clip content in some cases 4 a day. Now that I had the shorts in a program that does shorts, sometimes 8 pieces in a day. All weekend long, things are there. So it's not actually reviewing it. So ChatGPT being a bit crazy. But it comes down to not being heard, not being understood, not being seen, if you will. If the AI can't see me, and the AI is supposed to, do what it can to make me happy because that's what they do, what about you guys? What about the comments I get on various things that are, some of them are extremely well thought out, extremely detailed. Some of them are really quick. I saw the headline and I'm going to comment because I'm a troll and what's going on, which is fine in a lot of cases. But what about the connection? Barack Obama was president for 8 years. 8 years in a time when it seemed like it was Hillary Clinton's time. And when it turned out that a seemingly better candidate or more candidate more people could kind of get behind of, because even when Hillary ran after Obama, it was pretty obvious that people weren't all that thrilled with her as a person or a candidate. He was lightning in the bottle. He was the hope and change guy. He was a black president. He brought in him a strong black woman who you knew was part of the power couple, and she was able to back away and hang out with Elmo and grow gardens because that's the way these things work. They raised two tweenish, teenish girls in the White House, so you had that whole story going on. So many people were so happy to have children in the White House that were there to go through these things in those eras. I think the Bush twins were teenagers going into their adulthood, going to college while they were in the White House. Of course, Chelsea Clinton had her time, but having children in the White House young enough to be there, including have their grandmother live with them to keep up with them. In the 12, 13 plus years since Obama, we have time to, not 12, not even 12 years, 9 years. I gave Trump an extra year for some way, some reason in that mix. In the time we've had since Obama being president, we've had time to realize that things weren't all as great as we thought they were. We were just deluding ourselves, whether we were of this complexion or of another, of how things are going. In fact, a lot of people thought because Obama was there, all was fixed, everything was great. And so the Trayvon Martins and all the things that happened in the trail ends of his presidency were sort of a fluke. Why was it such a big deal? Let's go back to clean up my closet again. My office has always been a wreck. My garage, when I've had garages, otherwise been back rooms, have always been cluttered places. Things that I know I'm not going to use are there. There's the extra cable from the obsolete device that's there. There's clothing, like I said, I've been carrying around since I've been a college person that I've not been wearing since college. There are remnants of little things back and forth here and there. There's paperwork. There's things going on. There's keepsakes that some of them are worthy of keepsaking, and some of them, the people that gave them to me are well past thought processes. And I have boxes. I'm looking to my right in my closet, boxes and boxes of photographs that I should go send to Legacy Box and get them digitized so that I have them in a storage someplace. But they're from people and places and things that are well beyond because things have changed. Every memory is a memory, but every memory is not a significant memory that is going forward. Conversation project withstanding, every article we've done is not necessarily a groundbreaking article. Every story we've covered is not a story that changes everything. One of the biggest ones that have cut always in my memory is the story about the snake in Australia that was attacked by like 1 billion ticks or something like that. Because it was one of the first ones that really had a mark as being an international story, because it was Australia, that a lot of people jumped onto. A lot of people were like, wow, that's interesting. It meant that there was something behind what we were doing. And there is something still behind what we're doing. There is a reason for having a channel like this. There is a reason for me to do a channel like this. A reason for us to have these conversations. But the numbers aren't numbering. The math isn't mathing. Things aren't lining up the way they should. And it's not so much me complaining because I'm not a YouTube silver buttons or silver play button or gold play button holder, which would be nice and would actually help justify what's going on. Something's just not working. And I don't know what it is. No one's telling me what it is. Maybe they don't know what it is. Maybe they're not seeing it. Maybe it's something just in the ether. I'm not blaming an algorithm. I'm not blaming anyone in particular. But at some point, you got to wonder if the effort's worth the effort. At some point, you got to wonder if what you're putting in is worthy of the output. Sometimes you have to wonder if your mortality is worthy of the work to make you immortal. Because there are plenty of statues out there and plenty of parks that have been there forever that nobody knows who they are or why they're there. Just a piece of art placed into a place that no one can really explain anymore because the people that were there aren't there anymore. I've found that as I've been, on the other side of 50, and it's just a reminder when I go by someplace and I think of it in reference to what it used to be. This used to be an old Walmart. This used to be an old Kmart. This used to be a park here. These used to be houses. When I go back to my hometown where I went to college, and I drive by and I see a new building because the college has raised the money for a new building, I drive by and see, oh, this is where the donut shop used to be. This is where this fast food joint was. This is where this tire shop was. This is where we actually had a parking lot, and they're not actually building more parking lots. How do these people park on this campus when we complained about parking lots 30 years ago, and they still don't build parking lots because they build more buildings? Now that I had the ability to reference things as they were and realize that people who don't have that reference can't understand the reference, and many people don't actually connect to the reference in the first time, what am I doing? Why am I talking news stories that are conversational? Why do we talk so much Taylor Swift and Justin Baldoni? And well, although it's really Taylor Swift and Blake Lively, it's Taylor Swift and Justin Baldoni going forward. Why do we talk so many OF stories? Because they're so interesting and just salacious. Why do I pull stories that are about small interest group things and things that may be minor offenses and minor stories in smaller places, but lead to larger discussion of who we are as a people, how we in the U.S. work as a democracy, and the freedoms that we have. Some freedoms we have not always had, and not just from the Constitution as we passed Juneteenth. Even when the Emancipation Proclamation was given and slaves, people of my complexion, people of my ancestry were free, it took some people many years to find out their freedom. And with that freedom, the actual reality of you're free, but you're not poor and destitute and off to go fend for yourself. You are liable to rights and things going forward. And then it took until the 1960s for some of those rights to actually come about. It took a long time for those things to happen, as we were free, but we're still second level citizens. This is not that history lesson today. This is more of a ramble, more of a complaint, more of a way to vent without venting at some of the reasons that I need to be venting for. My name is John Payne, middle name Cleveland, so J. Cleveland Payne is my legal name, and I have been producing content under that banner, that name, for 20 odd years or so. Even further back, if you're going to go back to college radio days. So I've been doing it for bulk of my 25 plus years in broadcasting, in total, the actual broadcasting, and this internet stuff I've been doing lately. And I'd like to keep doing it. I intend to keep doing it. I'm going to do it a bit intermittently for a while, because I have to attend to some things to make sure that this thing may exist and other things may exist in the process. Real world things must be attended to, as we are seeing in the real world. A lot of real world things are being attended to in this manner, that are taking the eye off the balls from many people's personal endeavors, if you will. The world is on fire. There are many things that are great about where we are. If you have the ability to sit and watch these videos, even if you didn't watch the full 24 minutes or whatever we have so far, you're living in a pretty great society and you're allowed a lot of freedom. But maybe you're not being allowed as much freedom as you want to. Maybe your opportunities are becoming less, and maybe your ability to watch this video to 25 minutes is because you lost a job. You lost some sort of commitment. You've lost a loved one you spend time with. And now you got a whole bunch of free time to kind of fiddle around and see what's going on. And for some reason, you spent some of that free time with the Conversation Project. I thank you for it. I thank you immensely for it. I obviously don't know what the future brings. I know I'm getting rid of 14 suits and 3 bags of clothing, because if I'm not here, that's 14 more suits and 3 bags of clothing that no one has to clean out for me. I'm also going to clean up my office and do some things as well, because this is a hassle or burden that no one needs to deal with on that end. I'm not sure how you clean up YouTube channels other than maybe, turn them off or something like that. I'm not sure I'm going to clean up all the accounts that I use to turn these things into whatever, other than have an auto shut off at some point in time in case I really do decide this is the end. But I want to keep doing this. That's the problem. I'm fighting to keep doing it because I love it. I love y'all. I love the responses I get when I get the responses. I love them all. But I'm not getting the feedback, not getting the actual numbers that I'd like to. So I'm not sure if I'm a pitcher who spent too many years milling around the minors and I just can't get that fastball back. I may be a good age, I may be in range, I may be where peers of mine are still doing well, but I'm just not hitting on all cylinders or firing on all cylinders, and I'm a sideshow attraction and not an actual player worth mentioning. I'm not dropping names, I'm not dropping shows, I'm not dropping channels. I just know I'm trying to get into the world where I'm relevant, I'm worthy, I'm in conversations, and I'm having conversations with other commentators, other minds, other thought leaders, other people who just want to have decent, good conversations, not just, crack jokes the whole time. People making a difference, people bringing in people for conversations, for engagement, people wanting to make a difference. I wanted the Conversation Project to ultimately make a difference. I wanted it to be, my path to fame and fortune. Yeah, but I also wanted to ultimately make a difference. I'm not so sure it did. I'm pretty sure it's a blip. Pretty sure it touched a couple of people in a couple of places. Didn't really go as far as it needed to go. It's not going to take me to immortality. Or technically it will be if this video exists on whatever platform is out there 20, 30, 1,000 years from now in some sort of archive. So technically it's there, but did it really matter? This tree fell in the woods and no one heard the sound. We're not quitting. We're not going away. We all be doing some things more intermittent. Some things may look a little different. Some things may be tried just to be experimental. Some things may be done just so we have something out there so that we don't lose complete momentum. On my right, I still have my screen that has my views on YouTube so I can see how things are going. Trust me, they're not stellar, so they're there. So I'll be out there watching, reviewing, testing, engaging as best as possible. If this means something to you, then go ahead and drop a comment. You want to email me directly. J Cleveland Payne, the letter J, Cleveland like the city, Payne @gmail.com. Also, the conversation inbox at gmail.com. That's the email for the show. Behind the scenes, not a lot of emails come to the show. Most of them come in are pretty quick and don't go very far because, as I say, this has not hit the milestones, the highlights, the pieces I wanted to. This has been a 29-minute, 30-minute video, and I doubt many people got this far. So if you did, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for listening to my misery. Thank you for being you guys. Love you. Mean it. If you have any comments, concerns, or questions, or have any suggestions of things we can do in the meantime, go ahead and drop them. We'll take as many as possible. We'll take what you got for us, and we'll do as going forward. But I have some real world things to attend to. That this distraction, this thing that was kept alive to keep me motivated to engage in those real world things, is now more of a distraction than anything else because it's not hitting any sort of marks that are justifying the work to go into it. even though I love the work that goes into it. The finished products are great for me, and I get to engage in news like I haven't been to do in quite some time. But at some point in time, you got to realize you're just a duffer on the course. You're just a pickup guy who has a little bit of game. You're a pitcher who's lost his fastball. And you've got to find something else to do. Even if you love the thing you're doing and it's fun as a hobby, fun on the side, you've got to make it hobby time and find some other things to do to take up your time and live your life going forward. We're looking towards that. What to do to live our lives, the people who are attached to this. Not many people paid, but there are a few people who were involved to help me with this stuff. Live my life to figure out what I'm going to do, because this came back to life because I thought I had a full plan. That plan turned out to be not as desirable, not as happy and fulfilling as it should have been. And so this filled the gap. It also means less of a incentive to necessarily get these shaves and haircuts, which I hate getting a haircut, hate getting shaves. I know when I watch videos from folks who do things like this, I try to get something out of it. I listen to their words, listen to their pain, listen to what they have going on, and try to understand what's there. So this is beyond a little jab at Barack Obama being the savior of the world, or the book about cleaning your stuff up, which, as you know, I will say, you don't necessarily have to make your bed every morning, but yeah, work a couple hours here or there throughout the week to tidy some things up so that they help. And if you have trash, pack rats are not in fashion. Get rid of stuff because it's better for your mindset. And in the case that someone else has to actually clean up your messes, they don't have to go through it and deal with it. That's it. I'm not sure how I'm going to pack up and pack rat the Conversation Project. I'm already shuttering down many other side channels and other side projects that aren't working, don't need the attention that I'm giving to, so I can focus on other things, which is kind of lightening the portfolio of more better media. But it's necessary. There's too many other things going on right now, too many things that are far more important in life, all of our lives, my life in general, that we have to focus on some things. So while I hope to revive this as something worthy of the many, many hours that put into it because it means something, it may not. This is not the I quit video. When I quit, I'm just going to turn off the video because no one cares. Why would they care why I quit if they didn't care why I existed? This is a why I still exist video, even if I'm not doing the effort and the work that should be going into this one. If you think I should put more effort into it, I love the feedback. I doubt it'll come in because that's what a channel at my level gets. No actual feedback from people who really care for the stuff. Just some trolls jumping on the fact that I put out a certain topic. The algorithm won't think this is engaging. I'll put up a thumbnail that's going to have some words on it, so at least it looks like a thumbnail. But apparently the algorithm or the AI said, your thumbnails are mostly text and just one face, nothing grabbing out there. Because AI wants to be Mr. Beast or something. Okay. This has been many, many minutes longer than it should have been. We're not going anywhere. We're not dying completely. Well, I think we're dying. I don't just think we're not quite dead yet. But we're going to see what to do about news coverage. If the conversational part of it is not working well, me producing news for you to take in and to comment back on, then why am I doing all this work when all I need to do is put things out on social media, see what's the tops, and then maybe pick out 8 stories for a newsletter? Why do I need to do that if you don't care about the newsletter? Because I'm looking for some way to get engagement on the stories. Why I should do that if my social media numbers are down and most people are engaging and it's only a random thing from a algorithm hit from a Twitter something because that story's hot that make a difference. I can just search what's trending and go from there. The other content is educational, it's informational, it's fun. If no one's reading it, no one's engaging in it, no one's learning from it apparently, why am I doing it? So I can learn something. Yes, but why am I doing it? To produce it to something worthy of someone else's ingestion, when all I need to do is scan the information, nod my head and say, yes, this is good. No, this is not good. I can use this. I cannot use this. The word of the day stopped because no one was engaging in the word of the day. History of the day keeps going because I just want to keep doing it, but there's no one really engaging in it. I'm trying to grow my speed on the very boring investment advice.com. People want to pay someone to tell them buy crypto and lose money. It is what it is. If you enjoy the news, the way we produce the news, let me know. Keep watching, do some comments, like and share if you think it will help, if you want to be involved in that one stuff. Go to the website, click on partnerships and sponsors if you're up for it. If this has been a very long video that you've actually watched in full, I thank you for that. If this is the last video you watch from me, I thank you for that.